me get real practical for a second, though, because I will put a link in the show notes to one thing. I have an article here called The 25 Best Places to Recycle Old Clothes That Cannot Be Donated. I'm not going to walk you through all of those because this is the lightning round right now. But if you head on over to theminimalists.com/podcast, we'll put a link to that article, the 25 best places to recycle old clothes that cannot be donated. However, here's something I have for you. Clothes can be recycled? ? Here are 5 underrated ways to use old clothes that cannot be donated. So it's true that if you have a lot of old clothes, many of our old clothes still have tags on them. Donate those. Let someone else get value from them. Or any gently used clothes, yeah, you can donate those to your local Goodwill or local homeless shelters. You can sell them on eBay. I buy a lot of my shirts from eBay now and I'll get them. They're either brand new or the worn ones didn't fit me well. I'm going to sell it. Great. It's essentially new at that point. So the price is like 50%, 90% less than what it would have been. However, if you've got a bunch of clothes that can't be donated at this point, instead of just throwing them away, here are 5 things you can do. The first thing is, and I'll put a link to this article in the show notes as well. The first thing you can do is cut or tear your old clothes up and make them into rags for cleaning. I've done that a bunch.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? They're essentially rags. We even use that term now, right? Look at these old rags. Yeah, I'll turn them into rags. That's pretty simple. You can dye the fabric and turn it into something usable, like a hair elastic. That's what TK does. Or a headband.
For those listening, it's funny because he does not have hair on his head.
The joke's not funny if you have to explain it, Mallory.
They can't see.
And for those who did not get the joke, it was the basis for the humor was that he's actually bald. And
visit Mallory's website, jokesexplained.com.
The third thing on the list here is use the textiles as pillow stuffing. I already have stuffing on my pillow, so I probably don't need that.
Yeah.
Wear old, stained, or damaged clothing for painting projects or other dirty tasks like yard work. However, Ryan, be careful with that because we can justify holding on to anything.
Oh, yeah. I did work around the house, and when I was living in Ohio, and I had 20 work shirts and 20 work pairs of jeans, and I could only wear so many of those layers at once. I go back to the pillow thing, though. Mariah actually did this because she bought a pillow that had a bunch of plastic inside of it.
Oh.
She didn't realize it. It's because it was like, it was just like, it wasn't microplastic, but it was some kind of plastic that she had. So she took all the filling out and restuffed it with old clothes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is practical. Very practical.
And finally, practice sewing or patch repair. This is what Ella does at her unschool. They just have a bunch of old donated clothes there, and she's messing them all up, sewing things together. She's sewing clothes to her hand sometimes. But the point is that if you are wanting to pick up that skill, you're going to need some clothes that you're able to ruin before you can get better at it.
That's a great idea.
We'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. We'll check out the Patreon live stream in a moment. But first, real quick, for right here, right now, here's one thing that's going on in the life of the minimalist. 3 days only starting today, which is the 29th of May, 2023. So 3 days, 72 hours, we are launching our first ever decluttering course. Come on, y'all.
Dude, we worked so hard on this thing.
Oh my God.
And when I say we, I mean Jordan.
Well, this has been going on since last year. We started planning it and outlining it last year. It's called Simplify Everything. It starts with the stuff. It's 5 weeks. That first week, we get deep into your physical clutter. But then beyond that, we have a week of digital clutter. We have a week of calendar clutter. I'm so busy. I don't know what to do. I keep saying yes, yes, yes. Well, we help you with the calendar clutter as well. And then, of course, financial clutter. Do you have any debt in your life? Do you make any irrational or impulse purchases? We help out with financial clutter. And ultimately, we end the course with relationship clutter. 17 video lessons, 45 clutter problem areas, 135 decluttering solutions, a 30-page workbook, student forums, and much, much more of less. It is called Simplify Everything. You can find it at simplifyeverything.xyz. Ryan, earlier you mentioned your favorite part was the relationship clutter week because it all sort of builds up to that. What really stood out to you throughout the course? Is there any memories as you were filming it and refilming it and refilming it?
Yeah. No, a lot of memories. I learned a lot of lessons along the way, like speaking straight to camera is very different than having a conversation on a podcast. So I became much better at learning what I need to do to talk directly to camera.
Oh, he's being bashful right now. Like Ryan stole the show. When you go to that first week, you're like, oh my gosh, do I need to redo everything? Because and it was like we were one-upping each other. Like, you know, when three people get on a song and they have three different verses and like they're each trying to one-up the next person. I wasn't intentionally doing that. But then Ryan comes in and I'm like, oh my gosh. His new take is so good. What am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, like once I learned what I had to do and got my footing, like I do feel really good about it. I have never, ever watched anything of mine and have been like, oh, Mariah, you got to see this of me until this course.
Look how good this is.
I was like, you got to
baby, look how good I look.
I was like, I don't even know how I did this, but like, look how awesome this came out.
TK, what about you?
My favorite section was the calendar clutter because it really forced me to dig into just how much busyness is a plight in our society, right? It's a badge of honor and it's an excuse for not being the people we want to be. And for so many of us, we feel like we have these grandiose or satisfying visions of how we could be living our lives if we weren't so busy. And yet we have a hard time letting go of the stories around why we're busy. And so I think we provide a lot of value in that calendar clutter section that resonates with me very strongly and what I see a lot of people out there struggling with.
Well, the website is simplifyeverything.xyz. The .com was not available, but I figured this is appropriate anyway, right? XYZ. We're going to get to the end of your clutter. Simplifyeverything.xyz. It's a 5-week course. However, it's available for 72 hours only. May 29th, May 30th, May 31st. And then if you're listening to this after that, you can head on over there, put your email address in. If we decide to offer this again in the future, I don't know. But my hope is this goes really well. We learn a lot of lessons from this. A lot of hard work went into this. So if you'd like to join, you can join simplifyeverything.xyz. Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalist Private Podcast, available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.